Hey everyone, this is Duane Johnson. This is my bacterial morphology and staining techniques part 3 video for my lab assignment. We're going to be doing some active cultures and doing a differential staining. So I've already got my E. coli and S. cerevisiae. I'm going to do the S. epidermidis. We're going to need an inoculation loop. We're going to need to sterilize or flame the tips of some of these active broths, or the active cultures in the nutrient broths. So this is the Staphylococcus epidermidis. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna grab my inoculation loop right here. It's been sitting in alcohol for a little over 30 seconds, so we're gonna wait for this to air dry. I'm gonna flame the tip of this, the active culture. Gonna put the inoculation loop in there, pull it out, put it onto our slide, let it air dry, and then we're gonna heat fix them. So we'll be back. Alright, now the inoculation loop's dry. I'm gonna try to keep it as sterile as possible. Take our cap off, set it down nicely. Now we'll flame this, sterilize the edges. I think I've got a bit of a better technique this time, so I won't be burning the edges anymore. Alright, we'll take this. Careful to not touch the sides. I'm going to go ahead and return this for right now back into the rack. I have that placed off to the side. Our slide here. I'm just going to rub that right into the center here. Make sure we get it all. Now we're going to allow it to air dry. We're going to place this in our bleach that is no longer needing to be used. Go ahead and just re-sterilize this. Oh, don't drop the cap. I'll wipe that off with alcohol and a towel. Make sure it's dry before I put that back on. I'll let that air dry with alcohol. Alright, so that is the first couple of steps. Then we're going to take it to our staining tray and we're going to do some differential staining. So we have it here, are the slides. To be continued. Alright, next step. Our slides are pretty much all air dried. So now we're going to heat fix them. So I have my E. coli right here. I'm going to heat fix it. Just going to pass it over the flame a few times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's recommended we do this 5 times. That is the E. coli. Go to the S. cerevisiae. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the S. epidermidis. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We can go on to our staining. Let me get that ready. So we'll start with a few drops of the crystal violet. 1, 2, and we let that sit for 60 seconds. Alright, so now we're going to rinse off the crystal violet stain. This is hard with one hand. Alright. Angle it. Need a little bit more water, gonna get all that off. Alright, so now we're going to blot that dry. We're going to move on to the next stain. Alright, so we're going to continue with the staining process. I'm going to get me some gloves. Next up, we're going to go to our PVP iodine. This stain helps the crystal violet to bind better, to better adhere to the gram-positive cells. And next we'll be adding the decolorizer, but the gram-positive cells will hold on to the crystal violet due to the composition of their cell wall. So it says 2 to 3 drops. It doesn't say anything about blot drying anything, so it just says rinse, empty the cup or the staining tray, add the next stain. So we'll do it in that order. 2 to 3 drops PVP iodine. 1, 2, 3. All right, that back. I'm gonna rinse the iodine off. Just give it a few seconds. Let it set up, then we'll go on. Alright, so it's been 60 seconds, so that is the time actually that we let these dyes set up. 60 seconds each. So not a few seconds, but 60 seconds. I'm sure it's to let the dye set in and soak into the cells and the bacteria. So we can go ahead and rinse the PVP iodine off. I'm going to start way over here this time so I can utilize the full tray. Set this down. I'm going to rinse the tray out, and we're going to move on to the next the next part 3. That would be the decolorizer. So this is going to strip away the outer membrane of the gram-negative bacteria, and it'll decolorize it, so that'll be transparent now, while the gram-positive bacteria will still hold on to the crystal violet dye, because of the PVP iodine helps it to adhere, so it'll retain its purple color. All right, so this is now getting to the differentiation. This is where we're going to be able to differentiate between gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria. So this is our decolorizer. We're going to do 2 to 3 drops of this as well. 1, 2, 3. That's it. Put that back. Let that set up. And then we'll move on to the last step, step 4. Step 4 with the safranin. So this will give a pink color to the gram-negative bacteria, and that's how we're going to be able to see that, versus the gram-positive bacteria, which is going to remain purple. Alright, we're back. So it's been about 30 seconds. The decolorizer is going to take 30 seconds, and the safranin is also going to take 30 seconds for the setup. So, now that the decolorizer looks like it's worked its way through, grab the pipette to rinse it. Hold it at an angle. Rinse it off. So I'm making sure not to touch the pipette onto the slide itself because I don't want to get the bacteria or anything. Even though it's been flamed, I don't want to still touch it. This is my house, so I'm going to try to keep everything as clean as possible. That's why I use a sterile chuck or semi-sterile truck. Keep everything clean, and then I toss it as well with everything else. Throw it all in bleach, let it soak, toss it. So we're going to go rinse this off, and we're going to go on to the safranin. Alright, last dye, last step. Safranin. Sorry, the lighting's a bit off. Usually my wife is helping me with these videos. So, 2 to 3 drops, 30 seconds wait time. Moment of truth. We'll take it under the microscope and give it a look. Alright, 30 seconds has passed. Let's go ahead and give this a rinse. Set that down here. No, I put it smear side up, so I don't want to put the smear on the chuck or anything. So we're gonna go take a look at it under the microscope here in a second. Alright, so all of my staining's done, so I'm just gonna wait for these two to finish drying. Well, I'm going to look at them under the microscope, and then I'm going to post the pictures into my lab assignment of the observations, magnification, best to view it on. So, thank you.